Hey everybody, it's Glade Riven with Second Pulsar, and we're here to talk a little bit about Twitter, especially art Twitter. So everybody's going, Elon Musk bought the platform, let a lot of people go, and is really pushing this $8 a month thing. Me, I'm like, okay, I'm not personally too concerned right now because the amount of traction I have on Twitter is jack squat. It's just, it's a case of, it's like, I am an artist. And if you head over to my page, you'll see the art in the banner for Second Pulsar, our gaming. That's stuff I drew. We'll get more of that on the channel. Just working on getting productivity up. But here's the bit. Art Twitter is losing their shit right now. And I understand because, quite frankly, it's a struggle to make money off of art through social media. It's not a very viable, while it can be done, it's not a very viable business venture for freelancing. Twitter is a lot of times the best way to network at the moment if you're just going to have your own if you're going to dedicate to a single social media. The kicker is that it's not a good idea. There's a whole lot of business issues that crop up. One, a lot of people are really mad at Elon Musk because the free ride is essentially going to be over. If you want your stuff to be seen, you're going to have to pay at least $8 a month, and probably for some advertising and whatnot. A lot of these people a lot of people on art Twitter don't. I understand. I've been in that location to where it's just like you're broke, you're in survival mode, you can't afford stuff, and while I would love to be making money off of my artwork, it's not financially viable at this time. I am simply not productive enough yet. I'm trying to work on that. So I have a day job, and part of my strategy is to become more productive with my artwork, and eventually I do plan on using this channel as part of marketing, because you can't just be on a single social network. In order to do it, you have to be on multiple networks, and as weird as it sounds, you have to get your stuff pirated onto the pirate sites with your name and your URL and your socials on there. It's because that's about the only way to, as weird as that is, the best way to be found is through marketing through piracy. Now, a lot of the artists on Twitter agree with the politics of Twitter. I'm not going to go into the politics of Twitter. We all know what they are. There's points I agree with, there's points I don't agree with, but that's not the point of this channel. We are a game. It's just like this is a gaming channel, and a lot of these artists are in the gaming field. They do contract work for Wizards of the Coast, for Paizo. They do contract work for other players, and they're big players, small players, indie players, and in the RPG market. Because the stuff that comes on your books, it's got to come from somewhere. So, but my take on this whole thing with Elon Musk is that we don't know how this is going to play out. He has a specific vision and an idea, and he's not quite putting forth the entirety of his vision yet, because I think he's still working out a lot of the details of it. And quite honestly, it's just he has incentive, unlike the previous board that ran Twitter, to get it to where Twitter makes a profit. getting to that point is going to suck, because that's business. It's just been that badly mismanaged. You can't survive off venture capital forever. You have to. The whole point of the venture capital to build Twitter, invested to build Twitter, is so that somebody like Musk would come along and buy it out. That was the whole point. That was their marketing strategy. Get good enough to where somebody is willing to fork out money, then you get out, and then you get your paycheck. You get out, you're fine. That's how the investors see things. Now, to those who are invested into Twitter as a social network, your celebrities, your artists that work on there, your clickbait media writers, and I will refer to them as clickbait, the online news as clickbait media, because that is what they are. They design clickbait rarely with much, if any, substance. And half the time when they have substance is because they're pissed off currently at Elon Musk. That's what it's just like. It's just a fact. It's like they currently don't like him. They did in the past. They might like him again at some point. I don't know. We'll see. But they're struggling because the venture capital money is running out. And we are nosediving straight into a recession, likely been there. I actually maintain that we never fully recovered from the dot-com bubble bursting. Parts of the economy have recovered. A good portion of it has not. A lot of what's happened is that George W. Bush, Barack Obama, Donald Trump, and President Biden and Joe Biden, all the presidential administrations have redefined the metrics of success because the economy is extremely unstable. And there's just not a stabilizing, there is just like the backbone isn't there. There's a lot of unsustainable ventures that have had a lot of money put into it. And some people have been able to play the markets right, make money, others haven't. But again, Art Twitter, if you are investing all your eggs in one basket into Twitter as your social media for your artwork, it's not a good business strategy. It's not viable. I was just like, I have a few hundred followers on Twitter. Most of them never see my crap when I post, my artwork when I post. They see my shit posts, which is pretty much what I use Twitter for now, is mostly shit posting. And, responding to people. But it's not a viable business strategy. And quite frankly, artists do need to charge more for their work. If you can't make money at what you're doing, then if you can't make enough money to survive, you might as well if you can make more money at McDonald's, then work at McDonald's. That's what it comes down to. And do the art on the side. If you can make more money in retail, then you're going to get stuck in retail. Retail sucks. McDonald's sucks. I've done both in the past. And, it's not, there's no hard and fast solutions, but if the business model isn't working, you're going to have to adjust your business model. And Twitter, something like this was always going to happen. Your best bet is to, okay. Sorry, I don't usually work with a graphic. Okay. Don't panic. I found the friendliest font that I have. And yes, it's a Hitchhiker Guide joke there, but the important thing, don't panic. Because when you panic, that is when things go south, because you're reacting instead of acting. You have to analyze the problem, figure out a solution, and find a way to make a business model that works. And you have to find a way to network outside of Twitter and advertise outside of Twitter, or pay money to Musk when he gets that up and running to advertise your stuff. So whether it's $8 a month and a few hot tweets now and then, to make money, you have to be willing to advertise your stuff. There's cheap tiers on Twitter to advertise. There's cheap tiers on YouTube to advertise. A lot of these social media sites, there are cheap tiers where you can throw a couple of bucks to get a little bit more traction for views. And yes, it sucks to have to spend money, but you have to spend money to make money, because that's with that, to get your name out there. It's just like, and if you're spending more time trying to game an algorithm than just tossing a few bucks, it's just, a lot of times it's quicker and cheaper, because your time is money. If you're spending all day trying to market on Twitter with the right views, with the right links, with the right commentary, the right social networking, you're not drawing, you're not making your stuff. And the best way to get your stuff out there is to make your stuff. And you're going to have to advertise in places where maybe you normally wouldn't advertise. But you have to find your demographic. And if your demographic on Twitter, excellent. If it's on Tumblr, excellent. If it's on DeviantArt, excellent. If it's, you have to be in 5 different social medias in order, and make sure that you post on it, excellent. It's like you can't fall into the trap of being a consumer on these social medias if you're going to advertise on them, because then you're just sitting there in the network, on the network, consuming what other people are making instead of the opposite. And you have to, your best bet. There was a point where I was actually getting some good traction by drawing fan art of characters of more popular artists and sending it to them. That's an easy way as an artist to get traction. It's just like, hey, I like your stuff. Here's some fan art of your character. And always be respectful of their character when you do it. And you know what happens? The artists usually reblog it. Sometimes sometimes you may even get a follower from a bigger account. It's a relatively easy thing. You can sometimes it could be as simple as a sketch. You could spend 20 minutes on a sketch, or you can even spend a couple of hours to make something, a halfway decent pinup or something, and get it out that way. There are strategies out there. And if you're only on one social network, you need to be on more than one social network anyways, because what that does is that your username then gets bumped up in Google. And when your name gets bumped up in Google, on these social media networks, they pay attention to your username on Google listings, both for your site and other sites. And if that ranking gets up there, guess what happens? They just like, hey, if our algorithm points to this person, they might bring more people to our website in order for more advertisers. There's strategies out there. You can't just sit there and panic on Twitter. Panicking on Twitter doesn't fix things. Panic never fixes things in any way, shape, or form. So your best bet is to not panic. Or if you're going to panic, please do not do it publicly, because unfortunately it looks bad. Your average person is just like, oh, an artist is bitching again. What else is new? What is like, I'll be straight up. I've stopped following artists because of whatever drama that they want to take out because they're posting it on the internet because they act like it's shouting out into the ether, but you're not shouting it out into the ether. You're shouting it into the town square, and people see that stuff. This is the type, and and when you do stuff like that, your potential employers look at that stuff. Companies look at that stuff, and they're just like, "Is this?" And they start looking at your profile on your social media, and they see a bunch of drama. They're like, "Well, if they're this dramatic on social media, do I want to hire this person? How are they going to be as how?" It's just like, how are they going to treat me as a client? It's like everything you do online when you are a professional is marketing. But if you panic and you slap that panic up all over the internet, you're only hurting yourself. You can't, and if you want to succeed in this succeed at anything with the internet, I mean, you might get a few views from in the algorithm over panic when everybody else is panicking, but that's short lived. It's like a few it's like you get a few click throughs on it because people do enjoy watching people burn. They do enjoy watching people self destruct. There's a lot of entertainment factor in watching certain politicians do that, where they quite almost literally set themselves on fire. I do not advocate setting anybody on fire. I do not advocate anybody being set on fire. But the whole thing comes down to don't panic. Don't panic. Because if you panic, you're not adjusting your business model. And it sounds like a lot of people are rethinking their business model and they're going to change it up going forward, which is a good thing. Twitter was never a sustainable model for artists to follow long term. And it's not a sustainable model for journalists long term, simply because the platform hasn't been making enough money to be sustainable as a business. And yes, a lot of people put all their eggs in this basket. Unfortunately, it's not. Unfortunately, it's not a very well woven basket. There's holes in the basket. Sometimes your eggs fall out of that and they end up smashing. So what you need to do is you need to spread your eggs out between multiple baskets in order and not just overfill a weak basket with all. The metaphor is getting the metaphor is getting kind of crazy, and this is running kind of long. But the big thing is that you're better. Yeah, my main point is still comes down to what the friendly yellow letters say. Don't panic. In the end, what's going to happen to Twitter? I don't know. It may crash and burn. It may not. But the current owner has a lot of incentive, $19 billion in debt of incentive, and in order to make it work. And there's going to be changes. And unfortunately, in a hostile takeover situation like this, there are a lot of people who lost their jobs. It's restructuring. It's unfortunate. It happens. As far as severance packages go, it's just like, oh, geez, that's actually a pretty good severance package. You get 90 days paid, where all you have to do is spend a few hours working out working out with HR your final, finalizing, your end of tenure, plus another 45 days severance after that, once you're officially out of the company. I mean, it's just like it's just like, that's freaking crazy. I wish I had gotten that during the pandemic, because I had gotten laid off during the pandemic. I'm not at that job anymore and I was brought back at that job, but I'm not at that job anymore. And I don't discuss my day jobs. But the thing is that I wish I had that good of a severance package. You got 3 more months of health insurance to set up, 3 more months of health insurance, 3 months to find another job. Yes, again, it's a recession. So yeah, it's just like, you have your time to set things up. It's, there's good. I mean, losing your job sucks. I've been through it a lot. Um, and, and I certainly can relate to it, but it could be worse. It could be a lot worse. There could be, it's just, there are it could be worse on that. And where Twitter's going to go, I don't know. Could it crash and burn? Yes. Could it become something new? Could it be something better? Yes. But, when you're in a business, you have to look out for yourself. And when you're an independent contract artist, a freelancer, you have to, it's just like, you have to do research on how to run a business. The most successful freelancers know how to run a business. They're not necessarily always the best artist, but they know how to run their business, and they know how to negotiate. They know what their time is worth. And if you can't afford $8 a month to advertise for your business, you can't afford to be in business. That's just the fact of it, is that if you can't afford that small of amount, to get your name out there, and a few bucks here and there for, additional advertisement, it's just like, unfortunately, it's like being an independent contractor doesn't work. And if you're a U.S. citizen, you get to write that off as a business expense, because it's advertising. Yeah, money you spend on Twitter as for advertising for your business is a business expense. So you're not really losing that money anyways, because Uncle Sam's just like, okay, we're not going to tax you on that. Yeah, this is getting rambly and long. It's pretty late at the moment when I'm recording it, but I just wanted to get this out in the ether. The important thing, don't panic. Signing off.